This is the second part of a three-part series, and today we're talking about trial by ordeal. First part of the series was about trial by oath. Basically, in trial by oath, you'd just go into court and you'd say, "I didn't do it." And that was good enough because it was believed that your oath, well, you wouldn't say something that wasn't true because you didn't want to risk eternal damnation. If you lied, well, you'd go to hell for lying. So it was good enough. Now, what I left out of that video was the fact that that was only reserved for people who were of good moral standing, good character. But for your average Joe the plumber, your normal ruffian, the guy who'd be hanging out at the pool hall today, well, you weren't so lucky. You had to go through something called trial by ordeal. And if you were considered an untrustworthy man or a scallywag, that's what you got to do. The theory was, with the trial by ordeal, was that if you were innocent, God would perform a miracle and he would save you. And if you weren't innocent, well, tough, you're going to face the consequences. There were different kinds of trial by ordeals. One of the types of trial by ordeal was trial by fire. And so when you've heard about, you're going to have a trial by fire, this is where it came from. In a trial by fire, and there was different kinds, but in a trial by fire, the accused would be made to hold a red-hot piece of iron. If it didn't burn his hand, well, that was a miracle, and he was not guilty. If it did burn his hand, well, he was guilty. Now, as a lawyer, of course, I represent a lot of people in hot water, and of course, I've been in hot water myself sometimes. But there were other versions of trial by water, not always hot water. One of the trials by water, which you may be familiar with from the Salem witch trials, was you would tie a person up and you would throw them in the water. The idea was that water is pure and water would reject anything that was unpure. In other words, it would float to the top. So if you were innocent, you would sink like a stone to the bottom. Of course, you would drown, but let's ignore little subtleties like that. You would drown if you were innocent, but if you were guilty, you'd float to the top. You could breathe, and so if you floated, hang him. Not really a good result either way if you're the person who's thrown in the water, but that's how they did it at the time of Salem. Now, my personal favorite, of course, is trial by cake. A trial by cake was reserved for the hoi polloi, usually members of the clergy. And in trial by cake, you'd get to take your cake, and the idea was you'd go to the church and you would say, "Oh Lord, Lord, if I am guilty of this crime, may I choke on this piece of cake." And then you'd have to take a bite. So let's see. "Oh Lord, Lord, if I'm guilty, please let me choke on this cake." No. And apparently I am not guilty because I am not choking on the cake. At any rate, if you find yourself in a legal jam, yes, I know there's stuff on my nose. If you find yourself in a legal jam or in hot water and you want our help, just give us a call. The phone number is below. I hope you enjoy these videos, and I thank you for watching.